It is 8 o'clock. It is Sunday night. It's time for the sit down with LB. Hello, hello, hello. This is LB here again with another episode of the Sit Down with LB. This is week 6, and as I said last week, I'm having a blast. I think we have some people already tuning in. We have always present is Jim Lieberthal. I think Elizabeth Bachman is here. Keebler Holly, I believe, is here. I appreciate Jessica Zeller is here. We'll get back.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm back again. Hopefully, you can hear me. Can you shout out and let me know? There you go. Howdy, Dottie. And okay, Leon Brown, Margaret Jones, Selena Perryman, Charles Hayes. Thank you all. Thank you all. I had some technical difficulties. Sometimes things are outside of your control. Hey, Darren Flagg, all the way from the West Coast. Thank you all for joining me. I am joined today by someone I consider my little sister, someone I've known from, what's up, Terrence Panky? That's Herbert, Ohio in the house. Someone that I've known for a few years now, but she was really just getting started when I met her, and someone who I am just over the moon that she is having an incredible career right now. She's like one of the it girls, and so I am so happy to be joined by my little sister, Janae Bridges. What's up, Janae?
Hey, big bro. Hi. This is
How
so
you doing? Look at you, bringing the sunshine. You and your yellow.
Yellow is one of my favorite colors. I'm great. I feel very sunny. I feel honestly like I'm just on a high from being home with my family, from the special that was aired yesterday on NBC. It's all a bit it's all a bit surreal. So I'm happy to be talking to you today.
The honor's mine, my dear. But talk about that special, if you would. You, with Gustavo Dudamel and all of those wonderful, amazing artists. Would you talk about that experience, what it meant to you?
Oh, gosh, sure. Yeah. So, I mean, I got a call a few weeks ago asking if I would be a part of this incredible event hosted by Global Citizen. And obviously, because of our current situation with the pandemic, the concert this year was virtual. So I said, absolutely, I would love to participate. I don't think they've ever had an opera singer
wow.
to guest on one of their concerts before. So it was a huge honor and privilege. And, just to be able to go out there and represent myself, but not only myself, but our beautiful art form that is so often cut, from these bigger platforms. It just, again, I am still a bit in shock and overwhelmed by all of the goodness. I'm grateful.
Yeah, but of course, had you worked with Maestro Dudamel before?
Yes, I've sung with him many times. With the LA Phil, I even went to Venezuela with him and
oh wow,
the Simon Bolivar Orchestra, his orchestra. So I did a Beethoven 9 way back in the day with Solomon and Joshua Guerrero and a Venezuelan soprano, and that was in 2013 or 14. So I've worked with him many times since. So, collaborating with him again is always just such a dream. He's so easygoing, so cool.
Oh.
But also just a fantastic musician, obviously, and maestro. So I'm riding high.
Flying high. I mean, every time you see him, it's like a rock concert. Isn't it?
It
It's
is.
totally like a rock concert. I mean, he has an
Absolutely.
infectious, boyish charm almost. Don't you think?
I do. And I also think that he just doesn't take himself super seriously. He knows that he's incredible, but at the same time it's just like let's just make music. Let's have fun, you know? And I love that about him so much. So I couldn't have imagined a better person to work with for this particular project. And it all just came together so beautifully. I watched it with my family, all of my family, and we're never home at the same time. So it's almost just like it was meant to be. Um,
Yeah, that's due to COVID. Obviously, we have to
yes.
be socially distant. And of course, I live in the state of Florida, which is we're having some issues right now in a tremendous uptick in the number of cases. And so we have to be vigilant in trying to stay, socially distant and just making sure that we don't put ourselves in harm's way. But tell me about how it was knowing that we have to be away from the thing that we love so much, which is performing. What was it like in the midst of these COVID times to get a chance to essentially perform for millions?
It was it was as if I could breathe again, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it has been such a difficult time for all of us, but I think especially for us performers, it's like we've been stripped, of what we not only what we do, but it's like what we live and almost who we are. And I try to
Mm-hmm.
actually not define what I do for a living with I try to not define myself by that, but we are so connected because we are our instruments. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's been a very um it's been a struggle. So to get this opportunity, it um has just lessened the heartache some and lessened the burden. And what I've missed most about singing is the collaboration, and to be able to
Mm-hmm.
collaborate with Maestro Dudamel and part of the LA Phil. It wasn't the whole orchestra um, because of social distancing, but just to be able to feel each other again and do the thing that we love most. It brought me a lot of joy and also even more hope. Um, and I'm inspired. I really am inspired because Maestro Dudamel, when he speaks, it's just like I just want to bottle it all up and keep it forever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but he was saying, this is a good thing. We need to be more innovative in our music making and more creative, and we're being forced. And he said this to the whole orchestra on the first day of our rehearsal, well, the only day.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, I think we all were a bit more at ease hearing that
Mm-hmm.
him, this man,
Mm-hmm.
is we all look up to and have such high regard for. So to answer your question again, it was just like I could breathe again. And I, it was different though, because I felt like I was representing our art form that is
Our
off,
art, yeah.
yeah, our art that is just often cut, and so I
Mm-hmm.
feel like
Not appreciated,
not appreciated.
and put amongst the other ones. Of
Yeah,
course, pop music and jazz and rock, but
right.
it never seems like we're the ones, in classical music that we are the least um, promoted to the public. It really makes us feel like we're a niche art form, don't you think?
Right. I do. And I think that also a lot of people just don't know about it. I mean, there are simply people who just they might have heard of Pavarotti and they might, they know a tune from Carmen because it's in commercials or The Barber of Seville, but to have access to a real live opera singer or just witness it for themselves, so many people just they have no idea where to start or how to start or that we really even exist. So to be able to share on that magnitude of a platform, again, it wasn't just for me. It didn't just bring me joy, but I really feel like it brought all of us joy and pride.
Hmm.
So I'm just thankful. I'm grateful, and I'm inspired. Actually, I'm inspired.
It made you kind of think, okay, This is the thing that I've worked so hard for, the thing that I love so much, the thing that is my life and my passion, and I absolutely want to get back to that. Is that not right?
That is absolutely right. And not only do I want to get back to it, but I can get back to it and I'm going to. And
Mm-hmm.
just because the opera houses are closed right now, it doesn't actually mean that we're closed. So for
Right.
me, this experience, and granted, I'm very blessed to have this opportunity. It's not something that comes around um, so often, but I think that it kind of just kicked me into a gear that I didn't even know what was there. And that it and a mindset and a mentality. And that is that we don't have to um, succumb to this pandemic. You know, it's here.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably not going to go anywhere for a while. So, okay, what are we going to do next? You know, and this has just really boosted me. It's boosted my
Mm-hmm.
confidence, but it's also boosted my creativity, and
And,
I'm ready.
and your exposure.
Oh
And your
yeah.
exposure, which is huge. Let me ask you this, because we think of, in the world of opera, there are so many sopranos, okay?
Mhm.
But the mezzo sopranos are far fewer, it seems. And if you think about some of the more well-known mezzos in our business, with no disrespect to anyone, it seems like there are a few of the same names. We think about probably Elena Garancha, Joyce DiDonato,
Mhm.
Anita Rashvelishvili. Those seem to be the ones. And so you are doing things on a big scale and you're everywhere. Does the idea excite you that you are entering into that picture where you will become synonymous? Like there's all these people and also Janae
I mean, it
with them.
is, yeah, it's definitely exciting. And those women that you just mentioned, I admire all of them so greatly, but I know what you mean. And that's kind of with every voice type. You hear of kind of the same, like 5 to 10. And so it's nice that, if my name starts to become one of those regular mentioned names, there are so
Hmm.
many other singers that should also be mentioned. And I think that um, this time is going to open up room, to be honest. I really feel like that, and I hope so. And I'm trying to use my platforms also to just to to open up room. I mean, like it's tricky, I think, as a solo whatever, but in our case, a solo opera singer, because we're focused on ourselves, as you have to be. But at the same time, I really do um, feel fulfilled when I'm helping other people as well and bringing people up. Um, so, I hope to be in one of those names that's mentioned all the time as one of the leading Metzi. Um, yeah, but
Well,
there
in
are
my eyes, you
so many.
are, and of course, there are many more in the chat wall. It's people are very active. Yes, I know Cecilia Bartoli, of course, but she's been around for even more years. She's probably 30 years.
Yeah,
And so I said the people
love
that
her.
seem to be more. She's ever present, if you want to call it that, but and of course Jennifer Larmore and all these other people. There are many, and I said earlier, even today, there's other mezzo sopranos that, of course, have the huge international careers. But if you think about the first ones, because it's a combination of not only talent but also timing, and
Mm,
also being put in front of the right people, and having it used to be the record industry that really promoted people, and the record industry has changed somewhat,
yeah.
but all of that stuff is a combination. And so it seems like you kind of have yourself set up, that you have all that stuff together, and you're trying to put the machine together to work as well as best for you as possible. Is that true?
Yeah, that is true, and I completely agree with you. And that timing is crucial. I will say that I have worked very, very hard. I've made a lot of sacrifices. I haven't had a quote unquote normal life, for a 33-year-old, but um, I've been blessed. I've been highly favored, but I also think that I've been lucky, and I have been in the right spaces at the right time. But I've been ready. It doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
and I always tell younger students when I'm teaching a master class or speaking that if you're not ready and prepared, the time can come and it'll just pass you by. You know, you'll miss your
Mm-hmm.
opportunity because you're not ready. And I always say, whatever I can control and have a handle on, that's what I'm going to do. I can't control uh, who's going to like me or which opera house is going to cast me, or if I'm anything, all of those outside forces. But what I can control is my technique, my
There
languages,
you go. There you
um,
go.
my wardrobe, and just like me. I can do me. I can't do anybody else. So I'm grateful that I have been ready when the times have uh, come and presented themselves in such a good way. But yeah, this whole timing is very crucial. Yes, and I've actually and speaking of timing, it's good to know when to say no. I've said no a
Mm-hmm.
lot, which is not always easy, but saying no to certain roles, and that
Mm-hmm.
has everything to do with timing. I've been asked to sing Amneris before. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
coming. It's for sure coming, but it's too soon. And so, like, that's hard to say no because you want to sing, all of the amazing rep. I do, at least. And but had I said yes, just wouldn't have put myself out there in the best way that I know.
Mm-hmm.
So
You have to look out for the long term.
you do, and I want to sing for a long time. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in it to just hit it and quit it, as they say.
My teacher used to say, you want to have a 30-year career, not a 3-year career.
Mm,
So,
yes,
if you think of it that way, she said we have to sing always on the interest and not the principle, because a
yeah.
lot of people will be singing on the hello on the principle and they'll have a really short career. So I think you've been smart in that respect. Let me go ahead and look at this chat wall, and I have a lot of people. OC, who's always here and supporting, Jonathan Lee Iverson, Shy Ma, of course, Jim Lieberthal. Your big bro in here, Morris Robinson. He's in here in the
Yeah.
building, and he was saying that he called it long time ago, and I know he's been a long time supporter of yours, and
Yes, he has.
a real true friend and someone you consider a big brother. And
Yes.
name some of the other people, if you would, that you considered, mentors, that you kind of looked up to, that kind of led you or guided you in this career, that you felt you were supported in some way.
Okay. Well, yes, definitely you, Larry. It's
Yes.
true. I remember just bugging you, and I don't know if in the beginning I was like fangirling out in the beginning, so I was like, I hope
No.
I'm not scaring him. But you've always been so generous, and I just truly appreciate that. So you, Morris Robinson, has always been my big brother. I call him if you know he's just such a valuable person to me. Um, Karen Slack is my big sister.
Hmm.
I met her when I was a student at Curtis, and she's just a real one. And she'll say to me, are you sure you want to do that? And I'll think again and say, you're right. No, I don't. Or are you sure you're ready for that? So it's just like having people like her is been so crucial for my mental health, actually. Um,
It's an, it, it's important to have people around you, and I don't want to cut you off, but it is
mhm,
important to have people around you that you really trust, that are looking out for your best interest,
yeah,
isn't it?
it really is absolutely because this career is, I mean, it has the ability to derail you emotionally and mentally, I think. And that's any career where you're in the spotlight, I believe. So to surround yourself with people that do have your best interest at heart is it's necessary. It's a must. And she's one of them. All of you who I've named so far. Um, my voice teachers along the way. I don't. I study with one right now, but all of them who I've studied with are still very much a part of my life.
Hmm.
Um, certain coaches that I have, Denise Reyes has become um, a friend and mentor, which is
Hmm.
just crazy because I remember just thinking this woman is such a goddess. I love everything about her. Um, and so the fact that I'm friends with her now and can just call her up and say, Denise, hi, I have a question. She answers, and it's just so gracious and generous. She doesn't have to do that, but it's helpful to speak with someone that has has done the career, and I mean done it well,
Mm-hmm.
and sing the
Mm-hmm.
same repertoire, and we can talk about phrases and acts. She gives me the inside scoop, which is it's a blessing. Um, Carolyn Blackwell has also become a mentor of
Mm-hmm.
mine, and again, having people in your circle that have been there, done that, and that want to see you succeed
Mm-hmm.
is everything. And then my family, I have a very, very, very supportive uh, family and support system, my village.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they think that I'm getting too ahead of myself or my head's in the clouds, trust me, they will
They're gonna
bring
let you know, huh?
they will let me know and they will bring me right on down. Um,
let's
so
talk about let's talk about Denise Graves a bit. Um, when you think about like black singers in the past, there are so many sopranos. If I said name the top black singers of all times, we'd probably list six sopranos. That's just
yeah.
how it is. It's just so many. There's so few mezzos, of course. And so with Denise Graves, it seemed like when she was really coming into the scene, she was the only one, and she was the on either side of her. There didn't seem to be someone, with no disrespect to anyone who is singing. I'm not trying to compare her career to theirs, but she was like the it girl at that time. Um, and now that you're friends with her, do you see some parallels in the fact that you are really getting a lot of exposure, and a lot of people are talking about Janae Bridges, but there are not a lot of black mezzos that people are talking about.
Mm, yeah. I mean, I'm not so sure that there's a lot of black sopranos either that they're talking about like that, but I know what you mean. Um,
Yeah.
I feel some parallels with her. I think, I mean, I've I've been mistaken for her actually many times, and I'm like, that's a compliment, but I'm
Right.
Janae.
Right.
It is a
Right.
compliment though, but I think that I'm starting to sing Carmen's a lot. Also, um, I have actually just studied simply the way she dresses and the way she presents herself. And while I have
Mm-hmm.
um, my own style, she's
Mm-hmm.
definitely influenced me for sure. Like I love the whole grand diva look
Yeah.
and way. So I've kind of tried to like emulate myself, but also staying true. Emulate, but staying true to who I am. And I think that with repertoire, again, we sing as a lot of the same rep. My voice isn't as low or full in the low, actually. Not yet, anyways. So um, I don't want to go the path in which she went, which was like right away, anyways. Like she sang a lot of Carmen's, a lot of Delilah's, and a lot of dramatic mezzo repertoire. And
Mm-hmm.
while I think I'm going there, um, I'm 33, so it's like there's
Mm-hmm.
there's no rush. But I I feel like Denise Graves, she was an icon. She wasn't only a singer. People wanted
Mm-hmm.
to know who this woman was, and she definitely also crossed. Um, she broke boundaries, I should say, and
I agree with that.
yeah, she definitely did that. And I think that I hopefully am similar in that way. I love singing opera. It is my world, classical music, concerts, recitals. But I
Mm-hmm.
am very interested in tapping into other genres and
Mm-hmm.
cross collaborating. Why not? That is, I feel, especially as Americans, that is who we
Mm-hmm.
are. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you grew up in church playing
Mm-hmm.
bass
Yes.
and singing. playing everything. What else? You play the drums, the guitar,
Grew up in the Kojic church. We play everything.
exact
It's like get in where you fit in. That's what we say. But
tambourine, everything. So um, I just feel like why cut off and limit yourself? Yes, our focus is classical music,
hmm
um, but I just truly feel that we should embody all of who we are. And during this time,
it enhances what we do if we can
it
tap into what we know. Don't you
absolutely,
think?
yes, we can tap into what we know, and it also enhances and broadens our audience base because
Absolutely.
let's be real, a lot of people don't feel welcome at the opera
hmm
house, or they don't
Yeah.
feel like it's accessible. And so, I feel like when we really just use all of our gifts, um, it not only broadens who we are, but it makes the opera house more accessible, and it diversifies the audience, which we have to look out to every night singing. And I personally
Absolutely.
I would like to see a more diverse audience.
Well, think
Um,
about Pavarotti. When Pavarotti did all of those Pavarotti and Friends concerts,
yes.
and when the three tenors and some of these other people, our world as classical singers is pretty small.
Hmm.
But when these people like went over into the mainstream, is where their international um, presence and who they were was just everywhere, and it really capitulated them to an even higher level of notoriety. So
Mm,
I'm all about, as you say, cross pollination, going into other genres, collaborating with some people outside of the box because, I always say that we have to reinvent what it is we do because we must, don't you think?
absolutely. I mean, and I look at pop stars and rock stars, they're constantly reinventing. And
hmm
so why shouldn't we? You know,
hmm
I feel like as humans, first of all, we have to be reinventing. Otherwise, we will be reliving some crazy, crazy times, which we are right now. But I feel like this time is a bit different because we're awakened. It seems like people are awakened from a deep, disillusioned sleep. Um,
Yeah. I'm getting some
so,
comments here. People are talking about, yes, there are many other wonderful mezzos. Florence Quivar, I didn't forget about her, Grace Bunbury and Verrett, who also, they kind of like, they straddled everything because they sang soprano and mezzo. And so you're a true mezzo. I see that we have Pam Bridges in the house, Mamacita.
that is my mama.
Patrick
Yes.
McCoy, Kevin Miller, I'm sure he's
Patrick,
somewhere in Texas. Kevin Miller,
Kev.
I he probably doesn't have a shirt on wherever he is. But Barbara Wright Pryor, of course, I mentioned you before. Martin T. Bell, yes. Who else do we have? Hirsch Gerlich, of course, yes. Chris Henderson. We've got some people in here. Keebler Holly. And so Elizabeth Bachman, thank you. She asked a
Oh, hi,
question.
Elizabeth.
No, someone asked a question before. When is the right time for you? Just going back, when you're ready for a role? How do you decide when you are in fact ready for a role?
Ooh, that's a great question. Um, so for me, I mean, I'll speak specifically about Carmen. Um, I've been singing Carmen since I was in, well, really since I was in undergrad, but maybe my senior year, my last year of undergrad, I started to learn the arias. Just with my teacher, not to perform, really just to see what this Carmen woman was all about.
hmm
Um, and so my senior year in in college, it seemed to feel really good. It felt good, but I hadn't graduated to looking at any other part of the opera until I was in grad school at Curtis because we actually did the tragedy of Carmen, which
The
is
smaller one.
it's an abridged version of Carmen. So it's much smaller, but it has kind of all of the arias and duets, so the main hits. But really, it took someone else to say, "Okay, I think you're ready." And
hmm
so I had very trusted people around me, my voice teacher, a couple of coaches, Michael Eliason, who was the former head of Curtis, the vocal department.
Hmm.
And they said, no, you're ready. You're not ready to sing Carmen necessarily in an opera house right now, but you're ready to sing it here in school in our black box theater. And so from that point, every year I just my voice grew. It grew and stuff and certain passages started to feel more comfortable. They started to feel easier.
Hmm.
I remember I remember maybe it was a chanson bohème. It was one of the numbers in Carmen where my middle voice just was like pooping out. It was just was not it wasn't present really. And so because that role is so the tessitura really lies in the middle, I just knew like I'm not ready to perform this
Hmm.
on a large stage. So when I knew that I was ready, would sing through the opera and it just felt like it was work,
It sat right. It
but it
sat right.
just it just sat right. It sat right.
Hmm.
And when I was in that the ideal place, the high notes would come out, the low notes weren't pushed, and I wasn't tired by the end, you know?
Hmm.
So it felt right when I just felt technically capable and also my voice, I would record it and listen back and it was like, "Ooh, that I really sound like a mezzo," you know? So just like a lot of introspection and honesty, because I could have said in college, "Okay, I'm ready to sing it. I did the tragedy of Carmen and I was even cast." But I wasn't ready and it took outside sources telling me you're not ready. Trust me.
You were patient. You were patient though.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to be patient as singers, especially if all these people are pushing you and they want to kind of say, okay, let's take this hot person that's coming up to put them on stage and we'll give her the title of Carmen. Let's talk about Carmen even further. You were supposed to be singing it this fall at the Met.
Hmm.
Yes, and I know as sad as that is that you're not going to be singing it. What would that experience have been for you? I know you already have sung at the Met and debuted there, but was Carmen one of those things that you're like, oh my gosh, singing Carmen at the Met is the creme de la creme? Did you think? I mean, I'm not saying that to make you feel bad about it because I
No,
know
I
you'll be
know.
back to the Mets. But could you just talk about that because I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, what your thoughts are because you were supposed to be there this
Yeah.
fall.
Oof. Well, I've had a lot of thoughts. I mean, my first thought was just heartbreak, and I saw it coming. I almost just knew that it was going to be canceled, but it's a different thing when it actually happens. So
Hmm.
for me, singing Carmen, and I think any mezzo, it's like singing Carmen at the Met. It just feels like almost like you've arrived, and that might sound a little bit vain. I don't mean it in that way, but it is the dream way to enter the Met, or
Hmm.
or it's the dream role to sing at the Met and present yourself. So I think that I will sing it there one day. Um,
I'm
but
sure you will.
it was definitely a blow, and I'm still getting over it. um, but I'm
Sorry to bring it up.
no, no, no. It's okay. It's reality. It's real life. But I'm encouraged and I'm grateful because I've had so many messages and shout outs from people saying, you know, that they're sad that they won't be able to see me. So that just brings me, it brings me joy amongst all of this tragedy that we've been dealt with. And again, I think I'll sing it there one day, but it gives me more time to just work,
Let it marinate.
let it marinate. Because honestly, I never thought that I'd be singing Carmen. First of all, I didn't really think that I'd be ever singing Carmen at the Met, but to sing it, at this stage in my career, I never really actually thought that would happen. I thought, okay, if I'm going to sing it, it'll probably be like, I don't know, when I'm really seasoned in my 40s or something. I don't know. So I'm grateful for all of the opportunities that I've been given, and I believe I'll sing it there one day.
I'm sure you will. Let's talk a little bit now about some of the other things that you do, as you mentioned, wanting to do outside of necessarily opera. And we have Sean on here.
Oh,
Wonderful composer. Sean, I'm going to come see you, I promise. Sean, but I know you've recorded many of his spirituals, and you do other styles as well. I know you've done some things with Wycliffe Gordon, and of course you've done, kind of straddle some things with Damian Sneed. Do you like, really doing those things? Do you get as much pleasure out of doing those projects as you do as singing Carmen?
I do. I absolutely do. It's a bit different because singing opera, it's such a collaboration, and not just with the singers, but with the conductors and the orchestras and the stagehands and the makeup and wardrobe. I love that so much about opera. Um, when I'm singing jazz, well, trying to figure out how to sing jazz, um, and collaborating with these incredible people like Damien Sneed and having spirituals arranged for me by Sean, it's such a beautiful experience because it's almost like a different language. Um, Unlike you, I'm not fluent in like all of the romantic languages. You're amazing.
Oh, please.
Um, but I feel like in these different musical languages, such as jazz and singing spirituals, you really get to express in a different way. And for me, it
Mhm.
almost feels like I'm more at home, because I'm not thinking so much technically. I think when I'm singing opera, and I'm trying to get to a point where I just let it go, but I think a lot, and I've noticed that. I think less than I used to, but my wheels are always turning like, ooh, got to get that in there and there and there. Um, so when I'm singing jazz and just in different styles, I feel a bit more free. And actually, I'm learning from that because I want to take that into to singing classically. We should feel.
Mhm.
I should be able to wake up and obviously warm up, go through my process, but while singing Delilah, I don't want to think so much. And maybe the audience can't tell that I'm thinking, but it's a journey, and our voices change every day. So it's like, okay, where does this ooh vowel go? Where's this ah? And I don't necessarily think that way when I'm singing other genres. And also, what's so beautiful about collaborating with Wycliffe Gordon, for example, is just the different energy, the jazz
Mhm.
world is so different than
Oh,
the classical
chill.
world. It's just chill. Nothing's
They are
wrong.
like
Nothing's wrong.
exactly.
It's like
Yeah,
if you make a mistake, it's okay.
they love
Just
it.
just go
Right.
with it. Just go with it. It's like, oh, okay. I like that.
Okay.
And
Right.
so I really am inspired by that because I think that classical can use a lot more of that type of mindset. Um,
Relax.
Yeah, relax. And that doesn't mean that the integrity of the music lessens. It's just,
Not at all.
I actually feel like it would be enhanced, you know,
Yeah.
because we'd be able to do things that are not um, so constrained in a way.
Mhm.
And people's minds would just broaden. No, I don't see
Yeah.
this phrase that way. I know it's been done for the past 100 years, but guess what? I'm not that person. I'm Janae, and
Right.
this is how I'm going to do it. You don't have to like it, but I encourage you to just chill.
We I think we have an artistic license, and of course I sing a lot of bel canto, and someone told me a long time ago, all of your runs should seem like they're spontaneous in the moment. You have a bit of flexibility and room to breathe and your own way of doing it. I truly am a big, supporter of having your own artistic language that is yours, within the confines of what the composers wrote. Of course, you have to. You can't reconstruct or deconstruct, but you can express in a way, And this idea that I always talk about being an artist and creating art, I
Yeah,
don't think everything should sound like a tape recorder that you just play back. It should sound like Janae Bridges in that moment?
I agree. Thank you. Yeah, I completely agree with that. So that's something that I'm just very inspired by when working with
Mm-hmm.
other genres and doing, just different things.
I remember doing some concerts with my good friend Jason Moran, who I love, and I came to do something with him in New York, and I was already, me and my opera singer self. I'm like,
Mhm.
let's practice. He's like, yeah, whatever, man. I'm like, can we practice? He's like, no, we just like meet 5 minutes before, and I was like, okay, but they have this idea that it's just like there's something about the specialness of the moment when you think about Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie and some of these other people. Miles Davis. Some of their greatest things happened in the moment that weren't rehearsed. So I do, as you say, love the freedom of trying to feeling like you're really living in that moment because that's when it's special. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean for me, I went back and I of course watched this the NBC special, The Global Citizens Unite, and it was just such a different world filming, you know. I didn't have I it, I just wanted to keep doing it again and again and again because that's how we are, you know, where it's never right. But I just thought, okay, this is an incredible moment. I'm just going to do what I can and and just let it go, you know, and it's being really well received. But I think that if I were to go into it, you know, saying, okay, this has to be this way and this has to be this way, first of all, the audience would tell that it's just stiff and, um,
Absolutely.
you know, the audience is sensitive. So I literally had to tell myself before it's not going to be like an environment that I'm used to. There's cameras
Hmm.
everywhere. We don't
Hmm.
have 6 weeks to rehearse.
Hmm.
So just go in, like do what you know that you can do
And have fun, right?
and have fun. Yeah. Yeah,
That's the main
absolutely.
thing. A lot of times we don't seem, I always try to have fun in the opera world. I just, that's just me. Anybody who knows me knows that I am loosey goosey and I have to have fun and just, I thrive and I do better in a relaxed setting, you know?
Yeah, you do. I love that. And I that's what I love about you. I can we where were we? We were in was it Amsterdam? No. I don't remember where we were, but
We've been
you
in a
were
lot of
so
different
we have been,
cities
but
in the same, yeah, at the same time, right?
yes, but I just remember one time, I think you had a show like a couple days later or something, but you were like, "Hey, what are you doing? Let's go salsa dancing."
Or
I'm
the
salsa
next
dancing.
day.
It might have been the next day, actually. I think it
Or
was
the
the
next
next day
day,
because I was like,
probably.
"You are crazy," but at the same time, like, yes, why not? You know.
Well,
So you were
I
out
mean,
salsa
think of it.
dancing the night before a show, and
I
I went to the show the next day, and you just sang the roof off.
Please. Well, think of it like this. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't, and so for me, it would be the same as going to the gym. It's physical, you know, it's a physical activity that kind of wakes your body up. And so I've always felt like I never want to be, handcuffed by this career. I want to feel like I live a
Mm,
normal life and I want to feel like I can do all the things. Of course, I'm not going to put myself unknowingly in harm's way. I'm not going to
right.
do anything to try to sabotage what it is I do. I'm a professional and I want to do my job well. But if I were at home, I would be up to 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I
Sure.
probably would be,
Yeah.
and so dance for me, like Jim Lieberthal on here, who's a dancer and it's his life. It is one of the things, it's one of my great, great passions. Tell me, what are your great, great passions in life
Wow. Well,
outside of singing?
outside of singing and making music, um, I actually love psychology and the mind.
Okay.
So before I was, you know, when I was not really singing seriously, I really wanted to be a psychologist because I
Hmm.
just find I've always found the mind so interesting. There's so many different ways of being and so many, you know, different ways of thinking. And growing up in my household, there were a lot of different personalities, different from each other, um, which was always just like, okay, what's going on? This is just a lot. But
Individuals.
individuals, that's a good way of saying it.
See how I
Um,
said that?
I like how you said that, and I'm sure my mom was like, yes, we're very individual. Um, But I've always found it very fascinating, just the way people react. And so um, I remember as a young person, I would go into nursing homes and sing, but also play the piano. And I would just instantly
Oh,
see how and feel how people were lightened and able to express in ways that they might not have before. So I don't really have any concrete plans to to do anything with this passion of mine, but um, I do think that what we do for a living is so connected to emotions and our mental state. I want to go further with that and see if I can, I don't know, see if something,
mm-hmm.
you
So
know what
you
I'm
can
trying to
do
say.
something else with that
See
with
if I
music.
can, yeah, exactly, and maybe tie the two in
Further, like,
together.
yeah.
Just further develop. I don't know. I know that Renee Fleming is she is also into psychology, but she is a part of a gosh, sorry, I shouldn't have even mentioned that because now I'm not going to remember the name. But it has to
That's
do
okay.
with music and your physical reaction to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a passion of mine. I still love playing basketball. I know we played some together. We played
We
in
did play
San
basketball in San
Francisco.
Francisco. That's right. You and I and Lucas Meacham and a couple other people.
You
Okay,
had some
quick.
handles. You had some handles.
Oh, I am recovering now from an arthroscopic knee surgery, so I have no handles right now. But who is? Tell me this: basketball. Who's the greatest of all times? There. I mean, it shouldn't be that hard. It's only three
No, it's
people,
not. MJ is the
really.
goat.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm not going to argue about that. I'm not going to argue about that. I'm not going to argue about that. I think
he
he
is. But do you know
probably
who my
is.
you think
Who's your?
he is?
You know what? You know what? The goat doesn't necessarily, and most times it's not your favorite person. Who is your favorite
Right. Okay.
player?
My favorite player, and I was just obsessed with him, is Allen Iverson.
Allen Iverson. Oh my gosh, I was
I was the die.
a decent fan of Allen Iverson, but Larry Bird as Selena Perryman, I am absolutely. Chris Lee says LeBron. Okay, there's some people
Yeah,
who you.
for sure. Oh, I love.
I think. Look, I'm from Ohio.
Okay.
Yes, Adam Richardson. We will talk about tennis. I am from the great state of Ohio. Okay, so I heard about LeBron James when I was like, I mean, when he was like 11 years old. People were already talking about him. So he's been in the conversation. But we'll get away from. Who is the greatest woman basketball player of all times, or your favorite woman
My
basketball player?
favorite, and I think she's great. Is Lisa Leslie.
Okay, Lisa Leslie. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You there? You know what? You favor a tiny bit.
Lisa
You
Leslie.
favor a tiny. Yes, I think she's very very pretty.
Thank
Don't
you.
you?
I guess I can see that.
I
Yeah,
mean, she's like
beautiful.
six. She's like 6'18" though.
Yeah.
No, she's really like 6'2" though. She's not really that tall. But OC says Kobe. I'm a Celtics fan. I mean, you growing up in Seattle, were you a Seattle Supersonics fan?
Absolutely. Sadly, we don't have a team there anymore. But Sean Kemp,
Yeah.
um,
Gary Payton.
Gary Payton. Oh, Gary
Gary
Payton.
Payton.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the glove. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, Cheryl Miller, Reggie Miller's sister. That's what somebody
Yep.
said.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Shannon
she
Miller.
was a great one.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
some of my greatest
but
memories growing up are watching the Sonics with my dad. Seattle Super.
oh, he was a big fan of the Sonics too.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. And just a big basketball fan overall. So, uh,
Yeah,
yeah, I
but
love basketball. I love playing. Sometimes I do it. And basketball is a sport where you can find a court anywhere around the world. So I've been
mm-hmm,
in Switzerland and Barcelona and just playing pickup with mostly guys. I always wish
mm-hmm.
that there were more women, but it's like mostly men. So, but it's all good because they think, oh, she's a woman. She's, we'll go easy on her. And then when I, cross them up,
You're like,
Kobe on them, they're like, oh,
Did you used to be like, like everybody who plays basketball? You're like 3, 2, 1, and you're like falling away. Did you used to like do that? I used to
Yeah.
be like, there's 3 seconds left. I used to be the 3 seconds
Oh,
left, and he fakes the
absolutely.
defense out at 3, 2, 1. You did used to do that.
I did. I'm not so sure how many of the buzzer shots I made, but yeah.
I was about to say, how many did you make?
Yeah, not probably not many, but I had a lot of assists though. I was like really good under pressure, at seeing the court. I wasn't a point guard. I was mostly like a two or three, a shooting guard,
Yeah. Hmm.
but I was able to see and position myself so that, we could come out on top.
And you also, in addition to playing basketball, you do dance, and everybody, I see people on here talking about how good of a dancer you are. You
Oh my
are,
gosh,
and
really?
you and I have gone. I think it was your brother or something like that, or maybe your mom's. Like, she's a great dancer too. You should have seen her with the
Yeah.
moves last night, or something like that. But talk about salsa too.
Yeah, I
We've
mean,
been
well,
salsa dancing in a few places, have we not?
we have. And the last place we saw it was backstage at Houston Grand Opera.
That's right,
But
for giving voice.
no, I love salsa dancing. Actually, my older sister, who you've met before,
Hmm.
she introduced me to salsa when I was in high school, I think. She was in college. She went to Johns Hopkins University and she became really big into salsa. So when I visited her one year, she snuck me in. She's
Oops.
very, um,
There might be a statute of limitations or something like that.
yeah, maybe I should
She
say it.
snuck you into.
Anyways, I went to my very first salsa club and I just fell in love with salsa. And it was because of my big sister. She's introduced me actually to a lot of things, but that is one that stuck. And I just love it. Salsa is also a very international language. And
Hmm.
we've danced all over the world. And I have friends, I've made friends salsa dancing. And it's just such an amazing network, And I think the beauty about what we do is traveling the world, meeting so many people, experiencing so many different cultures. And then when you can like meet people and experience people and um, different cultures and then come together under this unified language of dance and salsa,
Hmm.
it's a really special experience. So salsa dancing, basketball, um, yeah, are two things that I'm passionate about. I need to start dancing again though because I'm off. But when will we be able to get back to it? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. There are many things that as soon as what we're dealing with is lifted and we get through this, there are a lot of things I'm going to be getting back to. Just because you appreciate life in a different way, and I want to get back to some of my hobbies. Let's talk about, if we can, briefly about your talk with LA Opera, which I had the great pleasure of taking part in that. What inspired you to talk about that and to use your voice or the platform that they provided you to talk about something that was important to you?
Wow. Well, first of all, thank you for accepting that invitation. I couldn't have
Of
done that
course.
without you and our amazing colleagues and friends. Um, but LA Opera asked me if I wanted to do a virtual recital, sing a virtual recital, and as much as I wanted to, I just wasn't in the right emotional space to present myself in that way. So they said, okay, well, if you think of, something else that you would like to do in lieu of singing, let us know, propose it. And so I did. And what inspired me to propose the discussion about inequality and racism in opera is that I've been having so many conversations about it. We had been having so many conversations about it for years, and I
Hmm.
think as Black people, this conversation of racism and just feeling oppressed is almost a part of our everyday language, and it's exhausting. And um, I'm personally tired of having the conversation, but clearly, it's it's something that is has to happen. So I figure if I'm going to have these conversations, I want to have them for everybody, so everybody can hear our story. And
Hmm.
we're all stuck at home, quarantining and isolating. Everyone's online. Um,
Hmm.
so I feel that people will listen and tune in. If they don't want to, that's their prerogative. But I think it would be a really great way to use social media. So
Hmm.
I proposed that and they accepted. And it seems like, I don't think it seems like it has been very well um, eh, received, and
Well received.
it's been well received. And
It's
it
been
seems like
viral.
it's been viral. And I think it seems to have really sparked something in our world,
Mm.
our
In
opera
our
world,
business, yeah.
in our
Hmm.
business, where people are having conversations openly
Hmm.
and transparently, authentically. And
Hmm.
that's the only way that racism, I mean, is going to be, not the only way, but I think it's the first step into dismantling racism and, these things that we want to see change.
Hmm. And
So
we have
I'm,
to seize this opportunity. It's unfortunate that George Floyd, he died at the hands of the police. He was murdered at the hands of the police. It's unfortunate that Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, so many names. But, you, like myself, I have so many wonderful friends and colleagues who are not black that
yes,
have reached out to me that and we loved, we've talked about this before, we love the fact that we have a potpourri or a diverse group of friends that we consider like family, really wonderful and meaningful relationships with people who don't look just like us, but
absolutely.
it's been one of these things that uh because of what's happened, people are ready, even for the wrong reasons, even the unfortunate circumstances. People have shown lately that they are really really ready to have this conversation about race. And
Hmm.
so even though I just got done, I just read a book called White Fragility. I do this book club, I think, I've been talking about that. And so many people have said that they're ready to listen, not ready to not take over,
Yes.
but also ready to really engage in meaningful ways. And it's not our job, the book says, to
Hmm.
teach them. But don't you think, or do you think it's important to be available for these people, even though it's exhausting, to have these conversations about race?
Yes. I I think it's important to be available. And again, I'm having conversations with a lot of my Black friends and colleagues, and
Mm-hmm.
people have different stances on it. Some people say, this is not my problem. I'm not having any more conversations. Fine, I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But I encourage people that think that way to just, you know, put yourself, try to put yourself in a situation. It's like, okay, yes, you should have been thinking this way, but
Where were you? What were you doing that you weren't thinking this way?
exactly.
Like, it was in front of your face,
It
but
was
no,
in front
I'm
of your
just
face. But a lot of times people don't pay attention to to things that don't affect them. So while
hmm
I'm not giving an excuse, and I just am trying to be empathetic. Um,
hmm
but at the same time, it's like, okay, if I'm not in a place to talk to you, I'm not going to. So I just feel like,
right.
we're going to get through this thing, but it's gonna take it takes a village, and it takes
It takes.
all different types of personalities and all different types of different strategies. It's not a black and white situation. Racism is multi-layered. Um,
Hmm.
and even within the black community, it's not, oh, I'm black, I should be hired to sing this role, or I'm black, so I haven't had a career. Maybe it has attributed to that, but can you sing a
Hmm.
scale? Like, can I hear you sing a scale? So
Right.
it's like,
Exactly.
let's
Exactly.
let's just all be real. Let's be real
Hmm.
with ourselves.
Well, and also worrying about the things that you can control. If your part of the bargain is really lived up to, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's not that everybody's against you. And so, I mean, we have a multi layered systemic problem with racism. in
Oh
this
yeah.
country. And, and of course, we've been talking about it recently in the opera field. Have you ever yourself experienced any overt racism in the business?
I haven't, I can say that I have not experienced overt racism in the business. I have experienced overt racism, well, maybe this is the business with donors. I've
Mm-hmm.
actually experienced that, and it is a really unsettling feeling. And I just remember feeling
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, you're the one giving money to to this
Mm-hmm.
organization, like you're behind this, and you just said that to me." That's really
Mm-hmm.
scary. That's really, really unsettling. Um, so I've experienced that. I have not, to my knowledge, experienced overt racism from a company, or conductor, director. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and if I have experienced more subtle racism, and I've always actually called it out, which is
Good for you.
it's scary, but I'm grateful for just my up,
You need to.
because my mama taught me you speak up when something's wrong. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I've done that, and I honestly believe like we sometimes can attract or manifest things. And if I'm walking into a room thinking, apologizing for who I am, I feel like it almost attracts ignorance. Um,
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I feel that way. And so I think that may be why I haven't necessarily experienced a lot, because I don't walk in the room apologizing. I don't walk in the room thinking I'm a black opera singer. Um, I have to show you that
To
I can do
be or
this
do
as a black
this
singer.
or hold my
Yeah.
head up high or
Like I
anything
have
like
to
that. You
prove
just
myself that a black opera singer can do this. That is not how I think. I don't.
mm-mm.
Um,
Good for you.
yeah, I don't. Is it good? Yeah, I guess it's good. But
It's good. I think it's great because
okay,
I really feel I always have this attitude, and this is just me. I'm an optimist, and I always look at the glass half full as opposed to half empty. I always
yeah,
feel like the reason why I'm anywhere is because I should be, and not because I'm arrogant. I'm there because I have worked and done everything that I was supposed to do with the talent,
yes,
cultivating my talent and doing everything I can do to better myself, and that's the reason why. So I'm very confident in the
I love
fact
that.
that I should be there. So I don't walk in saying, "Oh my gosh, am I going to be good enough?" Of course, I'm 20 plus years into my career now. But even in the beginning, I always felt like, I have a strong Christian background, and I was like, you have to know whose you are, and He put you in that place. So I always felt that way, and I
Wonderful.
never felt like I had to prove to someone else that I was worthy of being in that position. So,
Wow. Yeah, that's beautiful. Have I want to ask you, have you experienced overt racism?
well, I've had some things before. A stage director would say something and chuckle like, "Oh, you know how you black guys are," or
Yeah.
just things. No one has ever called me like the N word, like you are an N word or anything like that. But I've had things that I've known have been the seeds of something that is probably racist in them. I
Yeah.
remember having a stage director actually not too long ago when I was in Italy doing a concert. I had a stage director that talked to me in a way that he shouldn't have. And I went about this far from his face and I told him he would not talk to me in that way. And then
Right.
he was backing up and very apologetic, but I was going to let him know that I may be 5'5.5", but I am not going to be disrespected by someone like that. So,
Good for you.
because the thing I've always tried to do is be the consummate professional. I always try to be on time. I always try to be a good colleague. You can't go anywhere in the world, hopefully, and say that Lawrence Brownlee has done this. That is negative. I've always tried to. My dad told me that when I leave the house, I represent not only myself but my family, my upbringing, and my race.
Mm,
So I take that seriously. I don't feel like it's a weight on my shoulders, but I also walk, I know that people are looking at me because this. You're the first black person, it shouldn't be this way in 2020. The first black person that they've ever seen. And so you are representative of, everybody else. You know what I mean?
yeah, I do. It definitely shouldn't be that way. And I agree with you though. I was raised similarly, and I want to back up and say when I walk into I said when I walk into a rehearsal, I don't think, "Oh, I'm a black opera singer." What I meant by that is my blackness does not excuse me, my blackness does not define my
Mm-hmm.
excellence, you know.
There you go.
If anything, it you should know that I'm about to be really excellent, but it,
There you go.
you really shouldn't attribute someone's um, excellence with their race. That's just crazy. So
Absolutely not.
I try to do the same. That's something that I've learned from you. Is to just be the consummate professional, and don't give anybody a reason to talk badly about you. Now, there people are racist and they have no reason, but
Mm-hmm.
I call it out when I see it, even if it's subtle. And I've experienced amongst some, well, they wouldn't be fans, but
Mm-hmm.
followers. And it's the thing about racism is it's not my problem. You're that person that is racist is clearly having an issue. So I feel
Mm-hmm.
bad for them, but I don't take on their issue. That is not my problem.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope
Because
that
you justify in a sense. It's hard to argue with a person who doesn't give it back. You don't get it back from them. If someone has a problem and
exactly,
I'm like, okay, you have your problem, but go over there. They want to engage you. They want to engage
exactly,
you and make you feel. But I'm like, I'm not gonna let you, influence my day or my life in any way because it's not. You're not that important to me.
exactly. And when you do engage, it gives them joy, and it makes them, the evil in them gets excited, and it actually propels them
It further,
to continue, and if
yeah,
there's their hate. So,
it
you know,
affirms their hate.
and yeah, exactly. It affirms their hate. So that goes for everybody. That goes for, a lot of cyberbullying is happening. That goes for them too. I'm just like, you clearly have an
Hmm.
issue. So I'm going to let you work that out.
Right.
But I'm going to be over here
Exactly.
singing in Hollywood, boo.
Right. There you go. Let's talk about your glamour and your fashion. I know people in the chat room, they've been talking about you and your yellow. I mean, you look radiant in that yellow. In the dress that you had on with Dudamel, that was an amazing dress. Is yellow your favorite
Yeah.
color? Even Giving Voice, you had like a goldish thing
Oh,
on
I
too. I'm like,
did. Yeah, I
okay,
did.
you're the canary. They need to start calling you Janae Canary Bridges or something like that.
Canary. Um, Yellow is
Canary, there
definitely
you
top
go.
three. Yellow, green, and red. I love. But fashion is that is another passion of mine that I didn't,
Mm-hmm.
list before. But I just love fashion so much. There's so many different ways that you can express yourself, and I find
Mm-hmm.
fashion one of the greatest ways to express yourself. And my
Who's your
closet,
favorite designer?
oof.
Or
I
you just
wear,
like them all?
I like them all, but I will say that I really love Ralph Lauren. And Ralph Lauren
Classic.
is very classic, and I actually don't often
Mhm.
wear my clothing tends to be more eclectic, but I just love the classic look. I love um, his story, actually, how he kind of he really came from the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he was a tie maker, and then it just evolved, but he worked so hard. And I love that about his story. It's not just his apparel that I love. I love,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just inspired by his story. So that's one for sure. But people often ask me, where do I get my gowns, and all of my inspiration? And I honestly, wherever I am in the world, I literally just have my eye open. I'll be walking past the store and I'll see something in the window and say, I need to go in there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I go in and I try things on, and I just I I I, I buy a lot of clothes. I might not, but
I, I was on here last week with our good friend Solomon Howard, and I asked him the question. I said, "How many pairs of shoes do you have?"
oh,
He said, "Oh
God.
man, you're gonna put me on the spot." So I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna put you on the spot.
How many gowns do I have?
How many gowns do you have and how many pairs of shoes do you have?
Ooh. Well, last time I counted my gowns, I was at 65. But
Oh my lord.
I got rid of majority of them, actually. I got rid of a lot. And actually I didn't get rid of them because my mom is so awesome. She can really see the big picture that I can't quite see.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
I was actually going to give them away or sell them for just very cheap. And she said, "Nope, I'm taking these home because you never know. We might have to like have these in a museum one day." And I just thought, "Okay, mom." But that's what mothers are for. And I love her for just having a very creative mind and vision. Shoes, I have a lot of shoes. Oh, I have never counted my shoes, but mm, let's just say that I my write-offs are nice. We can write shoes off, you know? They're part of our wardrobe, our
Well,
presentation,
you
our brand.
kind of in line with in line with glamour and clothes and stuff like that. You have to be fit in order to wear these things, and I know fitness for you is a really important thing. And I've seen you in many different cities, and you were in that yoga class or in that cycling class, or you go right away and you try to make that a part of your routine in a new city. Would you talk about how you like to instantly engage, and so to make sure that that's an active part of what you're doing in those cities?
Absolutely. Well, I am a firm believer that working out is not only helpful, for your actual appearance, but it is helpful for your mind, your emotional state, your mental state, your spiritual state. So,
Mm-hmm.
traveling the world all the time, sleeping in different beds, and just being in different environments, it can be stressful, you know? So, for
Mm-hmm.
me, working out just relieves a lot of that stress. So, one of the first things that I do is I go and find where the nearest gym is to the theater wherever I'm performing.
Mm-hmm.
I check out where there is a Zumba class because I love doing Zumba. Um, and yeah, I remember once we were in Munich and we went to the same gym. And
Yeah, that's
you told
right.
me about that gym. It was fancy because I don't really like
Yeah,
to do
it was fancy schmancy.
it
Yeah.
was fancy schmancy. Um, and it was not cheap. So I was like, I gotta go.
Right.
But yeah, I just think it's super important, to keep yourself in some type of good physical shape because, well, I personally would like to live long, but also what they're
Mm-hmm.
demanding of us on these stages, it's like you have to be able to move.
Right.
So yeah, I that kind of helps. It inspires me to stay active, but I love figuring out what different exercises my body can do. With COVID, gyms are mostly closed, so I've been doing a lot of self body work
Mm-hmm.
exercises, and it's been helpful. I'm building muscles though in places where I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I like that, but it's actually cool. We
We
can
got
actually do so much with our bodies.
we got
Um,
Tiffany Jackson on here, and
oh
she's the
yes,
most. She is like Miss Workout Diva. Hello, soprano, Miss Workout Diva.
and
We
that
see
means a
you,
lot coming
Tiff.
from Tiffany because she's done
Exactly.
competitions before. She's amazing.
Uh-huh.
She's so beautiful, and
I'm afraid of
she
her.
inspires me greatly.
I'm afraid of her. No, I'm just kidding. She's a sweetheart.
She is a sweetheart. She is, but people do ask me, are there exercises that you can't do because you're afraid of building tension? And for me, I've never actually had that issue. I don't focus a lot. I don't do a ton of crunches. Um, but when I do work on my core, I've never had issues with building tension because I think the key is just to breathe through the exercises. As long as you're breathing through and not holding your breath and like
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
to your throat while you're either lifting or, I mean, people might just
Always breathing. Always breathing. Yeah.
breathing through every exercise. And that's breathing is important. Breathing through everything, breathing through life. Just take a breath.
Let's write a book. Breathing through life.
Seriously. It's just breathing through life. Just how, and I remember when I used to play basketball, my coach would say, you have to breathe. Like, breathe through your shot, breathe through your follow through.
Hmm.
Because um, the energy is in the breath, you know? The energy, the breath carries the ball to the hoop. So, I mean, that's getting a little philosophical, but you know what I'm
No,
trying to say.
in in everything. I mean, you know, what you do in a relaxed way, which breath is a part of being relaxed. You're better at. Even when, I'm a big fan of photography. You have to breathe before you take a picture. And there are other things that you do. Breath and breathing is so important in every facet of life. So I agree with what you're saying. Here's a question for you. Waiting to exhale. There you go, Terry Allen. Let me ask you this. So now that I know we're seeing major, as I said before, major like upticks in COVID, and so I think we're all still like, oh my gosh, when is this going to end? But with that being said, what is the next thing you have coming up? Because many people have asked in the chat window here, what's the next thing you have? Because I think a lot of people want to see you perform again. What's the next thing you have?
Whew, well, I'm not sure I can talk about it actually.
Well, I mean, that's not canceled. That yeah,
Oh,
or that you can't. That's not announced either.
oh, yeah. I mean, my whole season has been canceled through December. We were supposed to sing together Beethoven 9 at the BBC,
Yes,
and that was going to
yes,
be amazing, but that was canceled in London. And I just had another
exactly.
canceling at Carnegie Hall, Beethoven 9. So this year is as far as my pre-engagements, previous engagements, those are all canceled. But going into next season or later this season
Hmm.
rather, Carmen at COC in Canada, Canadian
Oh, great.
company in Toronto. That will be my
Hmm.
next operatic performance. And I'm working
Great.
on some things that I actually wish I could talk about, but I just can't. Um,
Don't talk about them.
yeah, I one thing that I can actually talk about is a second collaboration with our friend Sean Opeblo,
Hmm.
spiritual on his second um, iteration of his spirituals um, arrangements. So I'm looking forward to that, and it should be debuting relatively soon. And yeah,
Great.
just working on some other projects that you will soon know about. And
Yes. Well,
yeah, after
that's our business. We have to be secretive and we have to honor, the institutions and the organizations
yeah,
that put these together. And so I understand that.
you do. But I'm excited, for what's to come, and I'm hoping that no more gets canceled, But the thing is, we don't know. So
Hmm.
we'll see. I'll be in Europe a lot next year. I'll be singing
Hmm.
in Amsterdam, Giovanna Seymour, and Anna Bolena,
Oh,
which
good.
would be
Awesome.
nice because I love Donizetti, and also the role sits higher, so
Hmm.
I'll be able to, just tap into my higher register a bit. Um,
Let me here's a question for you. Have you ever just you said tap into your higher register?
yeah.
Have you ever just have you ever just sat around and said like did a little cheer? You're like, "Yay, I'm a mezzo," because there's so many sopranos, you know? Have you ever been like, "I'm a mezzo," or have you ever imagined yourself
Uh,
being a soprano?
whew, okay. Well, no shade. I love all my Sopranos, but I am grateful. I am. um,
I love all you sopranos. Hello,
I do.
sopranos,
No,
we
but
love you,
but
okay?
you know what? Like, it's a different, and I've actually gotten to some discussion slash arguments with other voice types about this, but I truly believe, and don't be mad at me, but I think that being a soprano is just so difficult. Like the the
Well,
actual,
they are difficult. No, I'm just playing before I get in trouble with my
but
look.
it's actually like it's given me a greater. Uh, I have more empathy for the ones that have outbursts because I'm like, they're carrying the show right now. They're singing high all the time. They're being criticized at all time. Like, okay, fine. You can have your moment, but actually, like calm down, just breathe. Um, no, but I'm grateful just to be a mezzo because I like singing these roles, the more kind of grounded roles, if I can say that. Um, but if I were to ever sing a role in the soprano literature, I would love to sing Tosca. I love that role. I do. And I think
Oh,
she goes to a C. I got a C. Um,
okay.
I mean, I can give you a C, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not so sure if I can go the Shirley Grace route. I really truly feel like I'm a mezzo, and I feel for myself, I just feel more grounded when I'm singing in the lower and the middle and lower register, and give you some high notes every once in a while, just to let you know that I'm a mezzo soprano.
You're like not just a mezzo, but a mezzo soprano.
Yeah, but I do wish that we mezzos had more repertoire. I feel like sopranos
Hmm.
can, if you put them on a gala concert, they can offer you 20 arias. It's like
So much to choose from. Yeah.
so much to choose from, and it's amazing. So I do envy that a bit. Um, but hey, maybe the composers of today will give us some new material. I think so. I would love that.
Sean says he got you. He said he
Oh,
writes you high
Sean
notes all the
always has
time.
me. Sean,
That's Damien. Lord Damien Sneed. Good Lord. I was like,
oh yeah.
did you? I'm like, when he wrote those spiritual sketches, which I love, of course, that for me was like one of the great experiences in my life. But I was like, did you write this? I mean, were you like eating like helium when you wrote these? I mean, what do you like? These are so high.
But they were high because you can do it and nobody else
Uh,
can. So that's good for you because like literally
I
you're the only one in the world that can do it.
I have to wear my shoes one size too small when I sing those. And so many of my friends, I've met a lot of young singers, they're like, does Damien have a lower version of those spirituals?
Yeah.
No, I'm just making fun now. That
No,
was
but Damien
a
and Sean,
wonderful.
they're so amazing because they write so well for individual voices. Like Damien knows your
Hmm.
voice so well. He knows my voice so well. And Sean knows
Yeah.
my voice so well. And, that's the beauty about working
Damien
with
Sneed.
Damien.
Yeah.
Need everyone. Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the beauty of working with living composers. I love it so much.
Exactly.
And I'm working on some things,
Exactly.
a big project now, and I'm able to speak with the with Jake Heggie, just
Oh, good.
you
Love
know,
Jake.
on the
Yeah.
phone and say, Jake, it's not sitting so right. And thankfully, he doesn't. He's so generous and he doesn't get offended. Um, so I love working with living composers.
Yeah, that's great because you get a chance to create in the moment. And when Damien and I worked together, it was one of these things that he brought an idea, and I would say, "Well, what about this?" And he would say, "Okay, yeah, I like that idea, but let's take it there." In that collaboration, to
Yeah.
kind of like find the heart of what these pieces really are. And we did the spiritual sketches, but sketches are rough drawings, which meant that there was a lot of room for freedom and activity.
I love that.
To and so that's I appreciate that, and that's the beauty of doing something with a living composer. I got a chance to work with Lauren Mizell as well, and a couple
Mhm.
other
Wow.
people doing new works. And so, do I know you want to sing. You talked about singing, the Carmen's, and I'm sure people have mentioned Delilah's, and the mezzo repertoire. There's not a whole bunch of stuff. Do you like the idea of going into even some new works? Because I know you did the Akhenaten at the Met, which was a huge success, but other works outside of that as well. Do you have a desire to do more new works in opera?
Absolutely. I mean, I would say that in my career, I've been really fortunate because I've sung a lot of new music, um,
Mm-hmm.
and it has just invigorated me to want to do more. I really love the fact that new music is often just so reflected by the times that we're in today.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I love creating roles because you don't have these preconceived notions. Um, and for me, I'm able to just kind of create in a way in a different way than singing the more
Mm-hmm.
known and classic roles, because it's
Mm-hmm.
again, like you
Exactly.
said, that collaboration of actually being able to speak with a living composer and and create with the director, which
Mm-hmm.
we do that in the more classic repertoire, but it just seems like people have a more open mindset when you're working on a new piece, because we're all just trying to figure it out and tell the story together. So yeah, I definitely have a desire for it, and it's going to happen.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited.
As we get out of here, we're gonna wrap it up. We've been talking for like almost an hour and a half, which is a lot.
Really? Oh
And
wow.
I yes, I know we could talk. But Janae and I are actually really good friends, and we talk actually a
We
fair
are.
amount. So we're
Yeah, my
catching up.
brother.
Yeah. But where can
We
people
have to
follow
sing
you? I'm
together. I
sure.
really like.
I
Let's have to
know
sing together.
La Favorite.
Yes. Oh
Hello.
yes, you just did that with Jamie. Yes, let's do
Yes, we can sing that, and I want to sing it again. La Favorite. If there's any opera uh, directors or any out there,
that.
we
How
have
did you
a
like that role?
Fernand. I did like it, and it was a foray into something else that I haven't done. But I'm 47, and so
Oh,
people talk
okay.
about your voice is changing and maturing, and I think even if it hasn't, I think hopefully I still have the same, if you want to call it youthful quality of my voice,
Definitely
that I
do.
can try to you know infuse it with understanding and knowledge of my voice and my instrument and stuff like that too. So I'm ready to take on some other things. I'll be doing Lucia for the first time next year and a
Oh,
couple other
yes.
things too. So I mean, I'm not gonna go crazy. Don't worry, I'm not gonna go crazy. But
I would. I could hear
uh,
you singing Jose. I'm just. I am just saying.
in the very small theater. Where can people follow you, Janae? Where can people, you're all over social
Oh.
media. Where can we follow you?
Yes. Well, on Facebook, Janae Bridges Mezzo Soprano is my Facebook page, and then Instagram. I'm probably most active on Instagram. Janae
Hmm.
B Mezzo is my handle, but you can also just type in Janae Bridges, and it should be the first thing that pops up. And Twitter, also Janae Bridges, Janae B Mezzo. And my website is janaebridgesmezzo.com. So, yeah,
Well,
that's where
awesome.
you can follow me. Thank you for.
I'm sure everybody here already knows that. Everybody knows that and everybody's following you, but I always like people to mention that because there will be some people, that are like, I really want to follow her because they love you and they love what you're doing and they love the fact that you're everywhere now. So, I love you, my little sister,
I love
and
you.
all your successes that you've been having. I just beam with pride. And anytime that I see you in print or on the stage or in a video, I just, I'm really, really supportive of you because you know how much I care about you. So thank you for coming to just sit down. Thank you, Barbara and Leon and OC and Jim and Kim and Sherry
Mama.
and gosh, so many people, Mama, Mama Bridges and all the people, Tim, so many people. Yes, Darren Flag. We have people from all over the place that are following in. So we appreciate you all for coming to sit down. Yeah.
I just wanted to thank you for using your platform so generously. You've done that ever since I've known you, and it's rare, and I'm just grateful because you are in the midst of our jobs being taken and this pandemic happening,
Hmm.
you are still inspiring people. You're still using your voice, and I can't wait till I hear you sing next on a stage, because I literally feel like we're going through Lawrence Brownlee deprivation. um, so yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I will see you very soon. Even
Yeah.
if we will probably talk before I see you again. But
Hmm.
thank you again. Thank you all again. As I mentioned, so many people: Edna and Terry Allen and Selena and Alicia and Jared Marshall and so many other people I can't name. But thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Next week, I will be joined by the South African tenor Levi Strauss Sekapane. So that'll be a fun time. I'll have another tenor on here, someone who's doing some really important and wonderful things in the world of opera. So again, thank you for coming to the Sit Down with LB. We will see you next Sunday.